See Olympians, national players and national champions right here in Omaha from now through April. We can't wait to see you cheering for us in the stands. Visit lovboma.com to buy single match tickets to see me and Love Omaha volleyball in action. Go Big Green!
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Golfing in 72 degrees and perfect conditions in Nebraska doesn't seem possible in the winter, but it is. Double Eagle Golf is your escape from the bone-chilling cold outside and a reason to keep your clubs out year-round. Book a bay with some friends for a weekend or come by for golf and happy hour on a weekday. Spring leagues begin in February. Get signed up today. That's all at Double Eagle Golf inside the Kinetic Sports Complex at West O Street. Online at doubleeagle.golf. Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits is your place in North Lincoln to go for all your needs in wine, spirits, and beer. They also have a large variety of cigars in their walk-in humidor, and they have a top-notch walk-in, temperature-controlled, high-end wine bar. Plus, you can enjoy free samples from their tasting bar. There's only one place to go for all your needs for wine, beer, spirits, and cigars. Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits on North 27th Street in Lincoln.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
Salt Mine City is now open at 8th and R in the Haymarket. Come check out Lincoln's newest brewery with 12 beers on tap, including the popular Single Axle Light American Lager, Brick Street Amber Wheat, and so many more. There's daily drink specials like $1 off Moscow Mules on Tuesdays, $6 IPAs on Fridays, and $6 Bloody Marys on Saturdays. Stop by Tuesday through Thursday from 4 to 9 p.m., Fridays 4 to 11 p.m., Saturdays 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Sundays from noon to 8 p.m. It's Salt Mine City, Lincoln's newest brewery at 8th and R.
Landmark Implement, your John Deere dealer, invites you to their annual sprayer clinic at the Buffalo County Fairgrounds in Kearney on February 5th and 6th. This hands-on event offers expert training on John Deere and Hagee sprayers, covering topics such as machine maintenance, spray tip selection, and exact apply technology. New this year, classes on autonomy preparation, see and spray, and variable rate operation. Don't miss this opportunity, February 5th and 6th in Kearney. Learn more at landmarkimp.com/events.
Ever wish you had another light switch on the other side of the room on a dark night? How much better would you?
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, welcome to Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Happy Sunday, everyone. We are back to Behind the Black and Gold. A little bit different today. We're not going on it too because of post-game, obviously. And we're not going to talk about the current game that's happening against Nebraska and Wisconsin right now. But 1 o'clock and I am joined here with Collin Allan and Morgan Connor. They are both track athletes at NWU. Guys, how you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. I've had a good Sunday.
Good. Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
thank you for being able to come at 1 o'clock. I know it got a little hectic there, but we made it work. I hope everything's going well with you guys.
Heck yeah.
So looking at the track season and looking at everything going on, both of you guys are transfer students from different places. Obviously, we're going to dive into that. But before we start, just tell me a little bit about you guys, just what you guys do, where you guys are from, things like that.
Yeah, I'm from North Dakota. And like you said, I'm Collin. I'm a pole vaulter at NWU. I didn't come here for pole vault. It's something I picked up my sophomore year of college being here. I went to college for multis. So, but with some injuries and things, I changed over to just strictly pole vault.
Cool. Yeah, I'm Morgan. I'm originally from York, Nebraska. Go Dukes. I originally started off at the University of Nebraska decathlete, kind of like Collin. Went through some injuries and kind of a long story, but ended up transferring to Wichita State and then back here to Lincoln and eventually Wesleyan. So yeah.
So you were at a school in California. Why California? Why did you choose that in the first place?
Just out of high school, multis isn't something that a lot of like athletes do. It's more of like through a summer track kind of thing because high schools don't have multis in most states. And I got recruited by a coach in California. And when you're in high school, you look at schools and you're like, I get to be on the beach like my whole freshman year of college and I get to run track. Like, what could be better than that? So I went out there my freshman year and I realized being a 30-hour drive from home and only seeing my parents twice a year wasn't the best thing in the world and it was kind of hard for me. So I really enjoyed my time out there, but when I entered the transfer portal, I got in contact with Ted Bowling, our old coach. And yeah, I talked to him for a while, came here on a visit and met DMAC and Coach Derek Carson. And I fell in love with the school and the coaches. And I'm very glad that I ended up here.
And Nebraska. Why Nebraska?
Oh man. Well, just kind of like starting off, I know like Wesleyan was always someone that pursued me, and for whatever reason, I had aspirations just to start off bigger, even though a bigger school doesn't necessarily mean higher quality program. Um, but yeah, I remember like in high school, I would have football and basketball games, and our old coach for long jump, Josh Wall, he would come to he was at multiple football and basketball games that I had, and I wasn't even getting recruited for that sport. He was just like supporting me. So that just kind of shows like how much they cared about me throughout. But for whatever reason, I took a different route to Nebraska. I wanted to be at a bigger school, and I walked on the team at University of Nebraska, and yeah.
And then you transferred to Wichita State.
Yeah, so I was there for my entire freshman year, and then the first half of my sophomore year. Struggled with a tibia fracture, and then once I got over that, my sophomore year, had some nerve damage in my left leg, so I had to get surgery. And yeah, I was just really banged up and had no other choice but to enter the portal. And once I hit the portal, got in contact with Wichita State, and that was where my next spot was.
So you guys were both saying that you've dealt with some injuries. Collin, what were some injuries that you were saying that you were dealing with?
Yeah, so my freshman year in California, I partially tore my hamstring. So I redshirted that whole year and I never competed out there. And then came here my sophomore year and I was having some issues with my hip. Turns out I have hip dysplasia, which is just a genetic thing that can't really get fixed. And then last year, my junior year, I rolled my ankle pretty bad and tore a ligament in there, and I was in a boot for a month and a half or so. And then, yeah, that's basically been all my injuries for the most part. But yeah, they've added up, and I've had a couple over the years, but I've been doing a lot better.
When it comes to track, I just feel like there's so many people that get hurt. And I feel like that's the main sport that you see people. Those are the people that are in the athletic training room getting taped up, things like that. Like all athletes on the track team have something going on, shin splints, all of that stuff. So how does kind of an injury kind of define a season for you guys?
Yeah, it really sucks. I mean, it depends like the intensity of the injury, but I feel like it's so rare unless you're 18 years old and you have young bones and tissue, that it's just so rare to get through a track season without some kind of bang or some kind of bruise. And you really just are trying to time your training so that you feel the best at the end of the season. So, I mean, for example, right now I have like a really small ankle sprain. And if this was like the conference meet next week, this would be really bad, but it's January and we're not trying to peak right now. So we're kind of chilling, but it's so hard to manage that. And I feel like with us, as we get older and the coaches get to know us, we can kind of change our training a little bit to kind of mitigate or avoid those overuse injuries and stuff. But yeah, it's so rare to not get hurt in track and field. It's just the way it is. It's the most physical sport I think that there is. So yeah.
So you both said you were multi-event athletes. You're doing What's the one event that you wish you could just stick to, and that was the only event that you wish you could do?
Yeah, I guess I'm kind of doing that now with
Mhm.
just sticking with pole vault. I've been doing it for the past 3 years strictly, and I've really enjoyed it. It's a lot different than training for 10 events and
Mhm.
just being able to focus on a singular event. But I think it's definitely helped me because getting to focus on one event, you get to put all your effort and training into it, and it's really nice.
That's such a hard question because it's like picking your favorite child. It's
Yeah.
you can't. There's no right answer. I don't know. I have jumping backgrounds. That's what got me into the sport. High jump was definitely my favorite thing in high school, and getting into college kind of switched over to long jump. But I've kind of transitioned from when I got to Wesleyan to being more of a sprinter for whatever reason. Wesleyan's really good at breeding 400 runners, and somehow figured out I can do that disgusting event. But
Yeah.
I love the 400. It's a love hate. I would say my favorite event, if I could stick to, is probably the 200. It's kind of something that I've always done, but didn't really progress into being a little bit faster until I got to Wesleyan and got some training that fit me. But yeah, I'd say the 200 probably, and the 4x1. I love the 4x1.
So with being transfers and just experiencing all these different schools, what kind of made Wesleyan different or made you want to stick with Wesleyan compared to other places that you've been?
Yeah, I think with it being a smaller school, it helps a lot because it's very close knit with
Mhm.
everybody, and the coaches are a huge part of it. I mean, Derek Carson is one of the main reasons I came here, who's the multi coach. And even though I haven't been doing multis with him and training with him, I've had other coaches. We're still super close. I mean, we text all the time. We've been to his house for dinners. I see him every single day. And when I have injuries and this kind of stuff, he's always the first one to come to me and just tell me it's like gonna be okay. And you can tell like he really, really cares about you. And it's the
Mhm.
same thing with DMAC. He cares so much about all of his athletes, and it's a big part of it.
What would you-
DMAC, man. Shout out DMAC. Um, I don't know. It's just like it's like a puzzle for me because like at my first school, I mean, I'm not gonna compare schools. That's just not right. But Wesleyan, I mean, they just have. It was just everything for me. It had the coaches. I think the coaches, like Colin said, is like the most important thing, and the teammates. Like I got to the point where it was my third transfer, which sounds terrible, but I was kind of hopeless on. Yeah, it's bad. I felt kind of hopeless, honestly, and pessimistic about like finding new friends because it's like, oh my gosh, like every year I've found a new set of teammates and friends, and I'm like, all right, like I just want to be locked in with a friend group and was kind of unsure about how that would be. And the first year it was kind of hard kind of to fit in because I came in the middle of the year, which isn't super
Mhm.
common. But that's a big thing is that after this will be my second half, third year. I don't know. I transferred that semester, so it's weird. But I feel like after these last couple of years, like I've meshed with this group more than anyone I've ever meshed with. And the coaches on top of that just make it feel like a family. So and Wesleyan's such a great school. We're both exercise science majors, so we kind of geek out on exercise science, and I feel like it's the best place to be around for that. So yeah.
So why track? You're constantly getting beat up. You're running because you want to. Why? How did you kind of get into the sport?
For me, my first sport, like before I was even into sports at all, like it was basketball. Like the NBA is everything to me. Like growing up, biggest LeBron fan ever. But the way I got into it was like touching the rim. Like I was a big AAU guy, and like in between practices and stuff, we'd go up and like see who can touch the rim. And like I did that in like seventh grade, and I'm like, hold up, maybe I should be a high jumper. And also, my older brother is a high jumper, and had a very successful career. So I was like, you know what, maybe I should just high jump. And then I ended up winning the state championship in middle school. So I was like, all right, I'm a hot shot in the high jump. And then I never high jumped really again after that. So, but either way, that's kind of how I figured out that like, okay, like there's a sport that like fits for me, and that's definitely track. And it took a little bit longer to figure out that I could run a little bit,
Mhm.
but yeah, I guess like basketball is the entryway for me. But
Yeah, we have two very different stories. So growing up, my dad was my high school track and cross country coach. So as long as I can remember, I've been at track meets and cross country meets. I mean, most of my early memories are me being at practices with my dad and with the team and everything. And as I grew up, I got more and more into the sport, and it's just that love for it has never went away. And I mean, I'm going to school to be a college track coach, so I'm just kind of carrying that through, and that's really where the love of the sport came from, was from my dad and my family.
I feel like track is a very universal sport where, like you said, you played basketball, you played football, but track is like something that I feel like everybody can do because it's just something that
Yeah.
the difference is, are you good at it or not? Everybody can do it, everybody
Yeah.
can run, but it just, do you have a,
That's the thing, is like they'll go to a track meet, no one that's ever done it, and they'll see like the 5K and they'll be like, oh, that looks so easy. Like, they're just jogging. Well, they're jogging for 5,000
Yeah.
and like people
In
don't understand.
circles.
Or like people are like, oh my gosh, the long jump, all you do is like run and jump into sand. Yeah, but can you do it 23 feet
Uh-huh.
or 24? Same thing with high jump. Like every event is so difficult, and there's an event for everybody. So
Yeah.
it's not an easy sport like a lot of people think.
no.
Yeah, because people just look at it at face value and don't
Yeah.
look at all the work and the technique and everything that's gone
Yes,
into it.
and that's another thing too, is like our race, like my race is only like 21 seconds, but it's all the work that you do that week and all the crappy hills that we run in the fall that are behind the scenes and nobody really sees. So yeah, it's a lot of work that goes into those small seconds that you compete in the weekend. So yeah.
The track team's obviously very, very big at NWU. You guys have a long lasting kind of legacy of, like, you guys are pretty good. You guys do really well each year, but it's a big team, but there's like individual teams scattered throughout this big team. How does practice kind of go with that? So you obviously got your sprinters, your vaulters, your jumpers.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Yeah, so the main groups, I guess, would be like throws, short sprinters, long sprinters, horizontal jumpers, and vertical jumpers. And if you go into the Weary Center any time throughout the day, the throwers are in there throwing.
Yeah,
That's just
all the
what
time.
they do.
I
Coach
see them
Freeze
all the
is
time.
in with the throwers every hour of the day, and they're throwing. So they're kind of on their own schedule. And then short sprinters, long sprinters normally go at 4 o'clock and do the work together. Most of the time, they're going to have varying workouts, but they're going to be generally about the same. And then the jumpers normally try to go around 4-2. So it gets really, really hectic on our small indoor track. But DMAX found out like a really good way to make it work in
Mhm.
the controlled chaos that goes on in there every single day with the different events.
Yeah. You got to keep your head on a swivel in there. There's been some kids that have gotten kind of hit a little bit, but we make it work.
Do you like the indoor track at Westland, or is there things you would change? You can be
Our-
100% honest.
Our outdoor track is really nice.
It is really nice.
Outdoor's
Yes.
nice.
We make it work though. Like that's another thing with Division 3. Like it's pretty obvious that, like, Division 3 doesn't have like the stuff that Division 1 does, but like that we still make it work, and we still run in the same times that a lot of Division 1 to other schools run. Yeah, it's just like quality of training. That's like the most important thing. It's not the facilities or the gear or whatever. That doesn't make you fast. It's your coaches, it's your lifestyle, and it's how hard you train and how serious you take it. And that's what we do at Westland.
So in high school, you only had the outdoor season. You come to college, and now you have to do both indoor and outdoor. What are some differences that you've seen from now that you have to, because the track is obviously smaller and indoor, you're running a little bit more. Well, maybe not. You're not.
Same distance.
Same distance.
But
It just feels like more.
yeah, if you're running a 400 outdoor, it's 1 lap, but indoors it's 2, and that's kind of mentally
Mentally
kind of a
hard.
grind.
So what are the differences you've seen there, and especially to your body?
Yeah, so growing up in North Dakota, it was a little different. We had an indoor season
Really?
in North Dakota when I was in high school, so it wasn't a huge change. Because learning, I mean, to run the very, very tight curves
Mhm.
is a challenge, but I kind of grew up with that. And then, like in long jump and all that kind of stuff, it's weird not having the wind play a role in your run up or any of that. No, it's definitely not too bad for
Yeah.
me.
Like on top of like the physical stuff he was talking about, like for me, it's mostly mentally. Like I was a 3-sport athlete in high school, and it was kind of like, like at York, we were pretty successful in basketball. So when I finished the basketball season, we had like 2 weeks to train and get ready for the first meet outdoors, and it's just not like that in track. So we have all of, when we get to campus in the fall, we have that entire 5-month period, and that just gives you so much more time to train and let your body actually like get ready, as opposed to like, all right,
heal if you need to.
yes, exactly, as opposed to just like, all right, I just played in like the state district semi, or like whatever, and then the next week you're doing the high jump outside in 50-degree weather. So yeah, that's like a big thing. It's just like letting your training like happen actually, and that's a thing that I struggled with initially. Is like, all right, you need to be patient. You need to not in August show up like it's a state championship. There's a lot more progression to it. So yeah,
For sure. So this program, let's talk about DMAC. Tell me a little bit about DMAC. What does DMAC do? Obviously he's head coach, but what does he do for you guys specifically?
Oh my gosh, he does a lot. We had our home meets actually 2 days ago over at the Devaney Center. They're kind enough to let us use that. And he basically organized the whole thing. He just does all the behind the scenes work on top of like making us actually fast. He does stuff with the cross country team. I don't know. He does a lot. You probably know.
Yeah, he does everything. I don't think he slept much the past couple days because of our home meet. But yeah, my relationship with him is a little different than a lot of people because I want to do what he's doing in the future. So him and I have had a lot of just talks generally like about coaching and about the future. And he's helped me a lot with trying to figure out where I want to go and what I want to do with my life in the next couple of years, and just all the behind the scenes things he does with recruiting and all of that, and setting up meets, and then the training cycles. And there's so much that he does that people don't realize because they see him. Most people see him at 4:00 and they're like, all right, we're just running and he's just going to tell us what to do. But they don't see everything that he's doing for 8 or 9 hours a day, year round, just to make us shave off.
Track is his life, and that's the only thing that's running through his head.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So they don't see the things he does to shave off a 1/10 of a second. So
yeah. And he just brings a certain kind of energy to practice that kind of just gets us going. I don't know. Like he's very good at being personal and like telling us what we need to hear. And also like team meetings. Like Collin was saying earlier, like he took over as our head coach. Last year was his first year.
Yep.
So yeah, like Coach Ted Bulling, he left a big legacy. I feel like he stepped in, and not that he had to like fill any shoes or anything, but like it was pretty seamless. And yeah, it was. I've been pretty happy with Coach DMAC as our coach.
He's a great guy.
Oh yeah, and he's hilarious.
Yeah.
Some of the I wish I could show some of the text messages on this
Natalie
on this
shows
show,
me.
but
Natalie shows me.
Oh yeah, there we
funny.
go.
Yeah.
We're gonna throw it to break. When we get back, we're going to talk a little bit more about just like you guys as people, not just track athletes, what you guys are doing at NWU and how great NWU is, not just in sports and the legacy that you're doing in sports, but also the legacy that you're just making for the school in general. We will see you on the other side.
They also have a large variety of cigars in their walk-in humidor, and they have a top-notch walk-in, temperature-controlled, high-end wine bar. Plus, you can enjoy free samples from their tasting bar. There's only one place to go for all your needs for wine, beer, spirits, and cigars. Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits on North 27th Street in Lincoln.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
Salt Mine City is now open at 8th and R in the Haymarket. Come check out Lincoln's newest brewery with 12 beers on tap, including the popular Single Axle Light American Lager, Brick Street Amber Wheat, and so many more. There's daily drink specials like $1 off Moscow Mules on Tuesdays, $6 IPAs on Fridays, and $6 Bloody Marys on Saturdays. Stop by Tuesday through Thursday from 4 to 9 p.m., Fridays 4 to 11 p.m., Saturdays 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Sundays from noon to 8 p.m. It's Salt Mine City, Lincoln's newest brewery at 8th and R.
Landmark Implement, your John Deere dealer, invites you to their annual sprayer clinic at the Buffalo County Fairgrounds in Kearney on February 5th and 6th. This hands-on event offers expert training on John Deere and Hagie sprayers, covering topics such as machine maintenance, spray tip selection, and exact apply technology. New this year, classes on autonomy preparation, see and spray, and variable rate operation. Don't miss this opportunity, February 5th and 6th in Kearney. Learn more at landmarkimp.com/events.
Ever wish you had another light switch on the other side of the room on a dark night? How much better would you sleep at night if you had a ceiling fan in your room? The High Electric Service Department is here to make your electrical what-ifs a reality. Whether you're looking to replace some outdated light fixtures or brighten up your counters with under-cabinet lighting, High Electric can handle all types of residential electrical installations and services. Give Erica a call at 402-466-6606 or visit high-electric.com to get started. Husker fans, this season, Nebraska is celebrating 50 years of Husker women's basketball, and they need you to help celebrate. You've shown up for women's hoops from the start and continue to prove that Nebraska fans really are the best in the nation. On Sunday, January 26th, the Huskers face Big Ten opponent Ohio State, and they're calling on all Husker fans to help pack PBA so they can celebrate 50 years of Husker women's hoops together. Get your tickets now and be a part of this historic season. For event and ticket information, go to huskers.com/tickets.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, welcome to Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We're back for the second segment of Behind the Black and Gold. I'm Ellie, if you're just now joining. I'm joined here with Morgan and Collin, track athletes at NWU. Boys, we talked a lot of track, and obviously you're here to talk about track, but I want to kind of get to know a little bit more about you outside of the sport. So what do you guys do on campus or in Lincoln or anywhere else besides track?
So I'm always on the track team, and outside of track, I think the biggest responsibility I have is there's a college ministry in Lincoln called the Salt Company, and I help out with that as a leader and kind of have a little small group, and then we have Salt on Tuesday nights, and there's a lot of other responsibilities we have, but that's my other big thing, and I also work a part-time job. So
Yeah, I don't have a job or anything. I just like to hang out with my roommates a lot. I like to do like active things, like go golfing. I grew up playing hockey, so going to open skate or skating at the rail yard, that kind of stuff is really what I like to do with my free time.
Why hockey? Is that just kind of like a North Dakota thing?
It's just a North Dakota thing. Yeah, it's a way of life, kind of.
And you didn't want to do that instead of track?
I originally hockey was my first love, and really that's what I wanted to do. But it just kind of changed as I got older. I grew up playing goalie. But yeah, no, I started playing hockey in third grade or so, and played all the way up through high school. Learned to skate when I was probably 4 or 5. It's just what you do in North Dakota. I mean, I'm an hour away from the Canadian border back home, so
it's crazy.
Yeah, I get a lot of jokes on the team about being Canadian.
You're not?
Close enough.
He bleeds maple syrup.
Yeah, sometimes you can hear the accent, but I try to hide it from them.
So you guys are both exercise science majors, correct? Why exercise science? Why did you guys kind of decide to do that?
Just like, I don't know. I've always loved sports.
I think it's just a sports thing, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really know what I wanted to do in high school or like my freshman year of college, but I'm like, hey, I like sports. There's a lot you can do with it. So, I mean, yeah, I've fallen in love with exercise science for sure.
Yeah, when I came to college, I was originally going to go for marine biology, but as I've just been around college and just continued to do track.
That Nebraska Wesleyan doesn't really have marine biology.
Well, yeah, but yeah. But then, I found exercise science and then decided I wanted to go into coaching and all that.
So who have been some professors within your major that have really kind of helped you throughout your 4 years here? Not 4 years.
Yeah.
Transfers,
like
but
2.
Your time here at Nebraska Wesleyan.
I think of Tamara Llewellyn. She's my dog. I've had her in exercise phys. I've had her in structural kinesiology, sports psych. Yeah, she's just made me like look at the human body so much differently, and also just like helped me with performance, like figuring out how the body works. And another thing too is like last year, during the track season, like I just wasn't feeling good and I knew something was off, and I kind of like talked to her about my diet and stuff, and like we went over like all my nutrient needs for like specifically a track athlete and all that stuff. And she helped me feel so much better after meeting with her and making like some changes. And that just goes to show like how much the professors at Wesleyan care, because I know at a lot of other bigger schools, like you can't even meet your professor in the school year. Like it's you can't even access them. But she sat down with me and like looked at my diet and stuff and kind of tuned that in. So yeah, shout out Tamara.
Yeah, Tamara, but also Rachel. She's my
Yes.
advisor, but also in the HHP department. Both of them I have for probably about 90% of my classes. But no, they care a lot about us. And I had Rachel for nutrition, and also kind of like what Morgan said, talking with her about my diet and all that kind of stuff helps a lot.
So obviously at Wesleyan we have like threads and things like that you have to do to be able to graduate. So you're not taking classes all the time within your major. What's some classes that you can remember that weren't in your major that you really were like, okay, that was a cool class. I recommend it to somebody.
Right now, I'm in a meteorology class, and
Okay.
it's really interesting. And on Monday, we're going to the planetarium on campus. So I'm really looking forward to that. That's going to be pretty fun. So that's one of the better classes that I've
Mhm.
taken that isn't in HHP.
I was pretty fortunate to have like almost every single credit from all of my transferring to be carried over to Wesleyan. So I've had my thread pretty much covered, but
Uh-huh.
I did have to take what was it? It was a class on like the English literature of like mental health. It's yeah,
Okay.
it sounds scary, but it was really interesting. I look at mental health a lot differently now. So yeah.
Let's dive into mental health.
Oh,
How is as an athlete, you're constantly going because you technically have 2 seasons going throughout the year, indoor, outdoor. How important is mental health to you, and how do you guys kind of stay mentally and physically prepared for these 2 seasons that you have?
Yeah, I think a big part about it is the circle of people you have around you with your coaches, your friends, your family. Because especially with us who have dealt a lot with injuries, that can be a really
It can take a
hard
toll for
mental
sure.
thing. Yeah. And a lot of athletes, like practice time is kind of their getaway from a lot of other things like stress and school and all that kind of stuff. And if you're injured, you kind of lose that getaway partially. So being able to lean on your people in your circle is very, very important. And it's helped me a lot with everything, with stress, with the injuries, just having those people like Morgan, like my parents, and all them to lean on.
yeah, it's so hard because like track, you get a number for your performance. In other
Yeah.
school or other sports, it's a lot of just like subjective analysis and it's an opinion. But track, it's like, all right, you can look 2 hours after a meet, see the results, and compare it to everyone on your team, your conference, nationally, and that can be a good thing for motivation. But when you're struggling, that kind of sucks, and it's not really good for mental health if you identify in that. So for me, like I identified that with that a lot my first 2 years of college, but as I was led back to Lincoln, not identifying in track has helped me a lot, surprisingly, and it's more having more identity in my faith has been the biggest game changer, I think, for me. So
I like that. I think that like when I talked to Bella before and I've
yeah,
talked to other track athletes, the number
yes,
base of everything. That's all track is.
yeah,
It's a team sport, but it's also very individually based for
Yeah.
sure.
And you also have to think like we train through the summer, but we really hit it hard when we get back to school. You're training for 7, 8 months to hopefully drop point 0.1, point 0.2 of a second from your time.
Mhm.
yeah. It's just such a hard thing because, like I said earlier, track is the most physical sport where you're just measuring your fitness, but it's I think like honestly one of the most mentally challenging sports because you have that whole thing going on in your head with the number situation. You're trying to figure out how to perform at your best. And I think track is honestly, I think it's more mental than physical in a lot of ways, depending on the event. So you got to be sharp on that stuff.
Coming to Nebraska Wesleyan, what was something that surprised you the most about the program or just D3 in general?
Honestly, for me, it's the competition. I thought that, since, I had some like bigger school experience that it was going to be pretty easy, but I found out in my first meet that like D3 is crazy. Like to get to the Division 3 national championships, kids are going crazy like
Mhm.
nowadays, and you have to run very, very fast, and you have to run a time that not a lot of people in Division 1 can't run, or they can't vault. So that's where track is also kind of different, is that there's a there's a blurry line between all the divisions. And there's not necessarily a Division 1 runner, there's not a Division 2 runner, there's not a Division 3 runner. It's competition throughout. So yeah, the competition really surprised me. It's been very competitive the last couple of years at Wesleyan. So
Yeah, I agree a lot with what you said. Competition is crazy, and going to a lot of D1 meets here, like going to UNL meets, is good for us. It helps us out a lot. But then also with the hard numbers, you can look and D1 people are running slower times than some D3 people because the numbers transfer. It's not like other sports.
yeah.
So
That's another thing too, is also like if you go into the Weary Center and you look at like the top 10 rankings, that it is ridiculously hard to get on some of those lists. Like especially for like vault, I know is hard, but like the running events are absolutely insane at Wesleyan. So yeah, it's crazy.
yeah,
And
there's
there's constantly athletes I see on the Instagram like,
Yeah.
oh, this person hit top
Mhm.
top 10, number 7, things like that. And there's people like constantly just like surpassing those.
Yeah.
So it's good to see that.
It's good to see like growth inside the program for
Yeah,
sure.
and there's a lot of events where if you get on the top 10 chart, you're making the national
Yeah.
meet.
Mhm.
Because if they're so good that you can't be on there without putting up one of the best times or distances in the nation.
And you're competing against D1 schools when you go to these,
Yeah,
especially in indoor, right?
I don't think that we've ever been at a meet where it's all been one division other than the conference meet and last chance qualifiers and the national meet. Like last weekend we had Division 1. I don't know if we had Division 2, but we had like NAIA, I believe, too. So it's kind of fun. I see a lot of friendly faces at meets, which is good and bad things sometimes, but keeps things entertaining.
And you're obviously you're all there doing the same
Yeah.
thing. So is it kind of intimidating to go against D1, or you're just like, oh, I'm there to beat you. It doesn't really matter.
I don't really think it's intimidating. I mean, especially with us, you're worrying so much like about trying to put up a good distance or time or whatever that you're not really worried about anyone else. You're more focused on yourself and your individual performance, trying to do the best you possibly can.
Do you guys have any like rituals that you do before you might like go out to jump, or like something that you have going on in your head or anything like that?
Oh. I don't know. I'm not really big into that. I used to be very superstitious about it, but I'm trying to be a little bit more chill. I mean, on meet day, the only thing I keep the same is I gotta have my coffee for sure. 1 or 2 coffees before I run.
Yeah, I'm pretty superstitious. That comes from hockey, I think.
Yeah.
But I do everything on meet days the same for the most part. And when I'm on the runway before I jump, I just positive self-talk, because if I'm sitting at the end of the runway and I'm like, that bar looks really high, probably not going to jump the best. So I just kind of have to calm myself down and just trust my training and believe I can do it. And
And there's so many things because you guys are both jumpers. You have to go over a pole. You have to do certain steps. You're doing all these things. You're focusing on that, but you also want to get over the bar, or you want to jump as far as you can. How do you kind of keep the right headspace, not to overthink too much of like, okay, this is what I need to do, but also just doing it?
Yeah. I think DMAC knows that I'm a big overthinker. I have analysis paralysis sometimes, and like for a long jump, I'm definitely thinking about a million different cues, my approach, how fast I need to be running, what I need to do in the air, and all that stuff. And the same thing goes for running. Like I want to be at this time at the 100-meter mark or all this stuff. But I'm starting just to like get to the point where I'm thinking about that in practice, and then I just show up to the meet and I just try and relax and just have fun, because that's when all the hay's in the barn. You can't really do anything else when you show up to the meet. So, but yeah, I'm definitely working on the overthinking thing, but it's getting a lot better this year, I think.
Yeah. With pole vault, there's so many different things going on.
I could never do pole vault. I
yeah.
want you to know that.
There's like there's a million different things you got to think about.
Yeah.
In the pole,
In
you
the-
have
in
to
the
have a
vault.
certain pole, and then you got to have make sure the vault's at the certain thing. I'm like, that looks so fun, and I really wish I could do it, but there's no way that I could get myself to go over that. There's
Yeah,
no way.
it can be a little nerve wracking
Yeah.
at certain points, but the main thing is I just have to trust my coach, Chris Baum. He handles all those variability things during meet days, and I just get to worry about jumping. But one of the hardest things with pole vault and high jump is you jump until you miss 3 heights.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest mental thing is you jump until you just fail. And trying to get over that and just worry about one bar at a time is something that I've had to do. And it's helped me a lot.
The whole 3 heights, 3 jumps kind of thing. What's going through your mind, or like how do you kind of stay composed when you've already done 2 jumps and you have 1 jump left and you realize, okay, I either have to get over it or I can't scratch. What kind of goes through your mind when things like that are happening?
That's so hard. I think that's the hardest thing about jumps is that, the whole scratching situation with, a long jump has been kind of hard.
Mhm.
There's been a lot of meets where I had fouled the first 2 jumps, and to get into the final, I need to jump something crazy because everyone else already jumped a certain distance. So you kind of have to like find that balance of like, all right, I need to get on the board. I can't get over, but I also need to put everything into my approach, which is so freaking hard. So you definitely have to be on your stuff the first 2 jumps, and you can't be passive in the last attempt. Otherwise, it's like, what's the point of even making that adjustment? So it's definitely hard for a long jump because it's like if you're just even a toenail over, like everything that you just did doesn't count. And
Uh-huh.
it's the same way with pole vault because that's a whole different battle with the pole because the pole always wins in high jump and for pole vault. There's very, very, very rare instances
That's a
where you
great
can
way.
beat
The
it.
pole always
Yeah.
wins eventually.
Yeah.
Someone needs to write that down.
Yeah, no, third attempts are something I've just recently figured out for myself because up until outdoor conference last year, if I didn't make the height on my first attempt, I never made it. I was just I don't know what it was, but I was clean all the way up until the height I missed, and then I wouldn't make that bar. And outdoor conference was the first time in 2 years that I made a bar on my second or third attempt. And
And you're surprised in yourself when you're coming down.
yeah, because it was just the thing where I'd miss it on my first attempt. I'm like, all right, that's all I have for today.
Uh-huh.
And it was a joke with my teammates for 2 years that if I missed it, I wasn't going to make it. But no, it's something I've worked a lot on, just trying to focus on the one height at a time, like I've said several times. But yeah, blanking.
It's a battle.
Yeah, no, it's a battle. And on third attempts, Bomb and I have figured out that I really hype myself up and I run so much harder and all of that. So hyping myself up for that third attempt, and then if I make it, trying to calm down for the next attempts is something that's really hard to do.
Mhm.
And I'm getting there and starting to figure it out. And I did a lot better this last weekend with it. So that was nice.
Would you guys rather go right away, like you're the first person to jump, or would you want to be in the middle or the end just to kind of like see how everybody's doing, kind of place yourself, or just get it out of the way? And it's like, okay, I jumped what I could jump, or I got over that bar.
I would say first. I don't know. I don't like watching other people jump. I
Mhm.
like to just kind of be in my own zone and just kind of chill out, figure out what I want to do. And I don't like hearing all the distances being
Yeah.
marked off because then it's like, oh my gosh, I have to do that to be at this. So I just like to go first and be like, all right, I'm just gonna set the standard, which doesn't happen super often, but I like to be at that point
Mhm.
for sure.
Yeah, I'd probably like to go first, especially because I like to make the first height, and then
Yeah.
it's a lot of pressure off because no heighting is not great. So I'd like to make that first height, and then it helps me relax a lot getting into my next couple jumps.
So you guys are both seniors. This is your last track, or do you guys have extra years of eligibility?
I'm a 5th year, so this is all
Okay.
I got.
Okay. How about you?
I have another year because I redshirted my freshman year.
That's what I thought. So we're going to throw it to break, but I just wanted to make sure before I ask the questions to wrap this up. We're going to throw it to break. When I get back, I'm going to ask about future plans for you and some goals that we have for next season. But just to wrap everything up, we're obviously learning about track. We're obviously getting to know the sport of track, but you guys are obviously NWU athletes and NWU students first. Remember that, boys.
School
Comes first. So we're going to wrap everything up with goals and looking at the start of the indoor-outdoor season.
5th and 6th in Kearney. Learn more at landmarkimp.com/events.
Ever wish you had another light switch on the other side of the room on a dark night? How much better would you sleep at night if you had a ceiling fan in your room? The High Electric Service Department is here to make your electrical what-ifs a reality. Whether you're looking to replace some outdated light fixtures or brighten up your counters with under-cabinet lighting, High Electric can handle all types of residential electrical installations and services. Give Erica a call at 402-466-6606 or visit high-electric.com to get started. Husker fans, this season, Nebraska is celebrating 50 years of Husker women's basketball, and they need you to help celebrate. You've shown up for women's hoops from the start and continue to prove that Nebraska fans really are the best in the nation. On Sunday, January 26th, the Huskers face Big Ten opponent Ohio State, and they're calling on all Husker fans to help pack PBA so they can celebrate 50 years of Husker women's hoops together. Get your tickets now and be a part of this historic season. For event and ticket information, go to huskers.com/tickets.
Having diabetes doesn't have to ruin your new year. Join a Nebraska-supported program like Living Well with Diabetes. You'll learn how to manage your symptoms, feel more confident, and reduce stress about your diagnosis. Search Nebraska Living Well with Diabetes and click on the DHHS Healthy Living Programs page to learn more. Paid for by the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels and Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels and Joe. Break from 6 to 8 every weekday morning.
10 opponent Ohio State, and they're calling on all Husker fans to help pack PBA so they can celebrate 50 years of Husker women's hoops together. Get your tickets now and be a part of this historic season. For event and ticket information, go to huskers.com/tickets.
Having diabetes doesn't have to ruin your new year. Join a Nebraska-supported program like Living Well with Diabetes. You'll learn how to manage your symptoms, feel more confident, and reduce stress about your diagnosis. Search Nebraska Living Well with Diabetes and click on the DHHS Healthy Living Programs page to learn more.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, welcome to Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We are back with one final segment of today's show of Behind the Black and Gold. If you're joining us for this last segment, I'm going to say it again. I'm Ellie, and I'm joined here with Morgan and Collin, NWU track athletes. Boys, we're coming to the end for one of us. We still got one more year for you, but we're coming to the end of a long, great career. Obviously, track is not always going to be there. You can obviously run whenever you want, because that kind of is just something. But competing, kind of just like the drive of that, it comes to an end. What are your plans after graduation and after, well, you have graduation, but your conference meet is unfortunately on the day of graduation.
Yeah, that's really sad because I didn't have my high school graduation because of COVID, so I'm not having
Oh.
high school or college graduation, which sucks. But
You'll have it the next day.
what's
Just with-
that?
You'll have it the next day, just with
Oh,
a more
yeah,
intimate group.
Yeah, very intimate. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
After graduation, so hopefully we'll have a couple more meets after graduation because we have conference and is it conference after graduation? Or is it
Conference
before?
on
On
graduation.
graduation.
Conference, oh yeah, conference is on it, and then we have like nationals and a couple other meets after. But once I'm done, then I'm going to chiropractic school in September down in Kansas City. So that's what I'll be doing with my next 4 years of my life.
Nice.
Yeah,
More school.
more school, man. Just 4 more years. Let's be in school for 10 years. Why not?
That sounds so much fun. So for you, you have one more year.
Mhm.
What are looking at this season, looking at your next season? What are some goals that you have set for just like in between?
I want to make the national meet at some point in my college career. And just trying to look at one meet at a time right now and just work on getting closer to that mark that I have to hit to get there.
Morgan, how about you? What are your last season? What are some goals that you have?
Yeah, I definitely have. I'm a big goal guy. I write everything down for times and placing what I want to do every year. Last year was my first time running the indoor 200 indoor 400, and I got second on the all-time list for the indoor 400 and was short of the record by 0.03. So my goal is to
You're coming
be
for it.
yes, my goal is to be 0.03 faster than last year, 0.04, so I can beat it. And I've been to the national meet. I think every season I've been here, but I've not been All American individually. I was All American on our 4x4 team with Kyle, Gabe Anderson, Garrett Lenners,
Mhm.
and that kind of set the standard
Great
for me.
athletes. if
Yes,
you're listening.
freaking squad.
Great work.
Yeah, shout out Kyle, Coach Kyle this year actually. But that really set the standard for me of like, all right, you can achieve this, but you need to be able to do this on your own too. So my goal this year is for whatever event I qualify for, I want to be able to make the final and be an All-American individually. So
What is some advice that you have for athletes that want to do track in college, specifically if they're like, oh, Division III? What drew you to Division III, and what would draw them to Division III? Just doing track at this level.
I think it's just like the people. Like for my experience, like people are at Division I schools for a variety of reasons. If you're at Division III, we're not doing this for a scholarship. We're not doing this for gear. We're doing it because we love it, and that goes for the athletes and that goes for the coaches. Yeah. So the people that are at Wesleyan are there because they care. It's because they love track and field and they love the people. So I would say if you're a high school recruit and you're looking for a place that you're going to feel welcomed, you're going to get poured into, I would say one, Division III is a good place you can be cared about, but two, people in Division III are fast and they're very, very fast. So yeah, I think it's a perfect mix for anybody, especially if you're around the state. Go to Wesleyan.
Yeah, I would say just go somewhere where you think you can be successful and where you feel you belong. Morgan and I obviously have both transferred, and I was at Division II, he was at Division I, and we both came down to D3 and are having success with how fast Division III is, but it's still a place that feels like home, and that has helped a lot with the success of both of us.
You can really think about this. What's one memory that you can remember that you're going to remember for the rest of your life from your track career at NWU?
Man, for me, there's a lot of funny moments that I'll kind of keep to myself. I don't know. There's just a million things that I could say, but it was that relay group that I was talking about earlier. So not last year, but the year before, I got kind of thrown into this 4x4 relay, and we went to the Augustana final qualifier. Wow. And we were trying to just solidify our spot for nationals, and we were running it at 8:30, 9 o'clock at Augustana. And it was a great night, and we happened to split what we needed to, and we got the school record, which is a record that is not easy to get, the 4x4 at Wesleyan, because there's been some really good 400 runners. And yeah, it was really cool to have that moment with my buddy Kyle Dickinson, and it's really cool to see him step up and be on staff as a coach this year and kind of continue that legacy. But yeah, running that time, it was just different. I don't know if I've ever had that feeling in track and field outside of that event, but it was just it was so cool because like I've had those individual moments where I've had success, but experiencing it with 3 other dudes, it just hit different that we were all sharing the same feeling and we all worked on it together. So yeah, that was probably the moment for me.
Yeah, I have a lot of funny memories like Morgan. But something that I'm gonna always remember is moments with my teammates, not even like with me competing, but seeing all of my teammates work so hard all year round. And then when they finally achieve their goals and being able to be there with them. One of my best friends, McLean Meyer, last year, he was working really hard to get under 11 seconds in the 100, and at Augustana, the last meet of the year, he ran, like, 10:97, and I was probably 60 meters from the finish watching the race, and the time came up, and I sprinted and borderline tackled him after the race because we were both so excited, and
That's
it's
what I
just
love about track is that there's so
Yeah.
many people that you just get so excited
Yeah.
when people are running, and especially
Mhm.
during like the 4x4 at the end. That's the best race. I know you hate
It's a hot-
running it.
No, I love it. It's a love hate, you know.
Mhm.
I love watching 4x4.
It's
Oh, it's great
definitely
to watch.
exciting.
It's so
Oh.
fun to watch
Yeah, it's
because
fun.
everybody's just screaming, and I
Mhm.
love it.
Yeah, and also just like the mundane moments of 4 o'clock Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Like, I just love that. I just love the grind with all the boys and stuff. Like, those are the moments I'm gonna remember. It's not just all the times and stuff I run. I'm probably gonna forget that pretty soon, but I'm just gonna miss hanging out with my teammates every day at 4. So yeah,
Oh, that's so sad.
yeah,
It all comes to an end, though.
yeah,
Really,
yeah.
We'll miss you, Morgan.
I'll be back to visit. Don't worry.
you've done great. Last thing, if you could say thank you to one person that has kind of shaped your track career, who would you say thank you to?
I'd say thank you to my dad. He kind of got me into the whole thing, and the amount of hours growing up that he spent with me at the track and over COVID when we didn't have a season, and he would still go with me and my friends every single day to the track to help us practice so that all of us could eventually end up running college. It just means a lot, him putting aside half of his life
Mhm.
to coaching me and helping some of my best friends get to where we are today.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many people that I would think of, but I just have to say both my parents because there's just been so many meets where they've taken off work when they've needed to be there, and so many sacrifices with club track in high school where they would just drive us up to Minnesota to see me jump over a pole, or just like nationals flying out to New York, and just all the trips that they've made for me is just insane. And I don't know if I'd be able to do it without them and supporting me and stuff. So yeah, they've done a lot, and it's track. A lot of times they've driven 4 hours and they watch me run for 21 seconds and then they turn right back around. I'm like, oh, that's crazy. So yeah, shout out to my mom and dad.
Boys, and before we say thank you, parents everywhere for supporting your kids, especially in track, especially if you're only running or jumping over a pole for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
We appreciate you. Boys, you did great.
Thank
So
you.
proud of you both.
Yeah.
We're going to end it here. Happy Sunday to everyone on 93.7 The Tickets. This was Behind the Black and Gold. I hope you have a great rest of your week. Boys, again, thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Good luck on
Thank
the
you.
rest of your seasons coming to an end. Hit those goals. Do what you need to do. But also, remember, stay healthy. Don't get hurt anymore,
That's right.
please.
Let's try
Colin,
this.
I'll see you in soccer class.
Yep.
We're going to have so much fun.
It's a great
That
time.
is it for Behind the Black and Gold. Happy Sunday, everyone.
Yeah.
Market. Come check out Lincoln's newest brewery with 12 beers on tap, including the popular Single Axle Light American Lager, Brick Street Amber Wheat, and so many more. There's daily drink specials like $1 off Moscow Mules on Tuesdays, $6 IPAs on Fridays, and $6 Bloody Marys on Saturdays. Stop by Tuesday through Thursday from 4 to 9 p.m., Fridays 4 to 11 p.m., Saturdays 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Sundays from noon to 8 p.m. It's Salt Mine City, Lincoln's newest brewery at 8th and R.
Landmark Implement, your John Deere dealer, invites you to their annual sprayer clinic at the Buffalo County Fairgrounds in Kearney on February 5th and 6th. This hands-on event offers expert training on John Deere and Hagie sprayers, covering topics such as machine maintenance, spray tip selection, and exact apply technology. New this year, classes on autonomy preparation, see and spray, and variable rate operation. Don't miss this opportunity, February 5th and 6th.